In the beginning, before stories had shape, and before gods had names, the world was only a gentle darkness wrapped around possibility. From that soft hush came Gaia, the earth, rising like a slow breath from the void. She wasn't loud or dramatic. She simply appeared, wide and comforting, stretching herself into hills and valleys and quiet places. Not far behind her came Uranus, the sky, drifting over her like a cool blue blanket. They were the first pair, simple and elemental, touched by an early peace. Together, they brought forth children, and those children would one day be known as the Titans. The Titans were 12 in number, though in the earliest days, they were just soft shapes and budding forms, learning what it meant to exist. There was Oceanus, calm and circling, whose presence felt like slow-moving tides. There was Hyperion, bright but not blinding, and Theia, whose glow matched his. Cus and Phoebe were thoughtful beings, quiet in nature, binding intelligence to intuition. Cronus was the least discussed, his story drifting like an unfinished thought. Iapetus carried a sense of weight, a subtle awareness of consequences. And then there were the youngest, Themis, who carried a natural balance. Mnemosyne, who held memory as gently as a mother holds an infant. And Rhea, who moved with a serene patience. Finally, there was Cronus, the last, but certainly not the least. He was sharp in ways the others were not, but in these early years even he was calm enough, drifting through existence with the slow certainty of a stone settling into soft soil. Not all the children Gaia bore were gentle. Before the Titans, she had given birth to the Cyclopes, each with a single round eye. And then to the Hecatonchires, the 100-handed ones, who were vast, strange, and misunderstood. Uranus looked upon them and felt discomfort. He pressed them deep into the earth, afraid of their shape and their strength. This brought pain to Gaia physical, yes, but also a quiet sorrow, a maternal ache that pulsed through her. She whispered to her Titan children that Uranus had wronged them all, but the others hesitated. They were peaceful beings, and dissent felt too loud. Only Cronus listened fully. He heard his mother's sorrow like a distant pulse in the ground, steady and undeniable. And though the world then was quiet, Cronus broke that quiet by agreeing to act. Gaia shaped a sickle out of hard, cold stone, and Cronus took it without ceremony. When Uranus descended to lie across the earth, Cronus struck. The sky recoiled. Blood scattered into the world, giving rise to new beings, but the moment itself was strangely hushed, as though the cosmos held its breath. With Uranus gone from power, the Titans no longer lived under his shadow. Cronus became ruler, not with fanfare, but with a steady, inevitable rise. Rhea stood beside him, and together they brought forth new life. Yet even as Cronus took the throne, there lingered a murky echo of his father, Esphoisa, prophecy that one of his children would overthrow him. Cronus felt it constantly, like a faint pressure behind the ribs, an unease he could neither name nor silence. When their first child, Hestia, was born, Cronus looked upon her with a mix of love and fear. The prophecy echoed. Before the child could take her first true breath, he swallowed her. Rhea could do nothing. Then came Demeter, swallowed as well, and Hera after her. Each child vanished into Cronus's depths. Poseidon followed, then Hades. Rhea's sorrow was heavy but quiet, a burden she carried alone, like a slow-moving storm on the horizon. When Rhea became pregnant again, Gaia whispered to her, just as she once whispered to Cronus. But this time, the whisper was one of hope. Rhea traveled to the island of Crete, surrounded by gentle breezes and the soft rustling of leaves. There, she gave birth to Zeus, a small, warm presence, full of potential. She hid him away in a cave, leaving him under the care of nymphs, letting him grow with the quiet rhythms of nature. In place of the baby, she wrapped a stone in cloth, carrying it to Cronus with feigned solemnity. Cronus swallowed it without question, tasting only the familiar bitterness of fear. Zeus grew in secret, and though he would one day be mighty, he spent these early years under the lullaby of dripping cave water and rustling laurel trees. He learned patience long before he learned power, and when he reached the age of action, he returned quietly to confront his father. Some say he disguised himself as a cupbearer. Others say he invoked Gaia's guidance. All agree that he offered Cronus a potion that forced him to release what he had held inside for so long. One by one, the swallowed children returned to the world, full-grown and shimmering with divine essence. They emerged weak but breathing, and they gathered around Zeus. Cronus staggered, stunned and unsteady. The quiet era of the Titans began to crack. War did not erupt at once. It spread slowly, like tremors beneath the ground. Zeus and his siblings, the Olympians, claimed Mount Olympus as their home. Cronus and the Titans held to Mount Othrys. Between them stretched valleys and seas, waiting to become a battlefield. The Titans, who stood with Cronus, were steady and powerful, but some chose a quieter path. Oceanus refused to fight, drifting in peaceful neutrality. Many others hesitated, unsure. But Atlas, strong and unyielding, stood firmly at Cronus's side. Zeus freed the Cyclopeas and Hecatonchires from their long imprisonment, and in return they offered gifts. One Cyclops forged thunderbolts for Zeus, brilliant but not harsh in these early days. For Poseidon they crafted the trident. For Hades, the helm of invisibility. Thus the sides were formed, though for a long time the battle was more tension than violence, like the thick stillness before a storm. When conflict finally erupted, it stretched on for 10 slow years. Lightning cracked the sky in steady, rhythmic intervals. Mountains trembled. Seas rose and fell in tides of unrest. Yet even amid battle, the world did not lose its dreamlike quality. Great forces clashed, but they did so with a mythic, measured pace, as though the struggle was stitched into time itself. Eventually, the hundred-handed ones tipped the balance. Their endless arms hurled stones like falling stars, overwhelming the Titans. Cronus fell, his strength finally wavering. The other Titans were subdued. With a slow, heavy finality, they were cast into Tartarus, the deep place beneath the earth, where the echoes of their power faded into a distant hum. Only a few were spared: Themis and Mnemosyne, who had no part in the war, and Oceanus, who had chosen peace. Zeus and his siblings took their places as rulers of the new order, spreading themselves across sky, sea, and underworld. Yet the Titans did not vanish entirely. Their influence lingered like traces of old songs in forgotten rooms. Oceanus still circled the world in his quiet currents. Hyperion's children, Helios and Selene, continued to carry the sun and moon across the sky. Themis whispered justice into the hearts of mortals. Mnemosyne gave shape to memory, ensuring that stories, even drowsy ones like this, would find their way forward. Atlas bore the weight of the heavens on his shoulders, not in endless agony, but in a steady, contemplative labor. Prometheus, son of Iapetus, lingered among mortals with a fascination that would one day spark new tales. Even Cronus, defeated though he was, found a final existence in realms more peaceful than Tartarus. Depending on the telling, drifting through fields untouched by time. And so the era of the Titans passed, not with roaring defeat, but with a slow, settling sigh, like dust drifting to rest after a long movement. Their story became the soil in which new myths grew. Even as the Olympians ruled, the memory of the Titans remained a quiet presence, a reminder of beginnings, of the first shapes rising from the void. Their tale continues to hum beneath all later stories, calm and constant, like the deep heartbeat of the world itself. In the end, the Titans are not only figures of power. They are the soft foundation upon which everything else stands. The earth beneath the sky, the old rhythms beneath the new, the drifting echoes of an age when gods were still discovering themselves. Their story stretches softly across time, neither urgent nor forgotten, and it remains there. A vast and gentle myth, meant to lull the mind toward stillness, like a distant wave folding again and again onto the shore.